In this video, I will go through the third topics, relative, absolute and mixed reference. So let's open the file. What is relative and absolute reference? I already told about the references. Every cell of Excel has a reference, like this cell has a reference of E3. So when in the Excel sheet we put any formula and we copy down this formula is adapted for the respective cells. Like here, if I calculate the sales equal to with dextratone multiplication of price, and if we copy down this formula, I can see that in this cell I type the formula C6D6, but in the second cell I copy down and the formula was adapted to C7D7 and it becomes C8D8 in the next cell. So the formula is relative to the respective cells, but in some cases we don't want the cell reference become relative. Sometimes we need to be the cells we need the cells sometimes we need the cell to be locked in same place, and in this case we can use the absolute reference. Like if I want to calculate the VAT with the cells, we can use the absolute reference because VAT is always 19% and this cell should be locked in the same place when we copy down the formula. Otherwise, if it comes down, there will be nothing. So in this formula, this cell should be locked. So in this case, we can use absolute reference. So how do we use that? Okay, let's do it. So we need to calculate sale plus VAT equal to sales plus VAT is 19% of the sales. So again I take the sales and I multiply with the VAT percentage. Now I need to log this cell here so that it becomes an absolute reference. For this I need to press F4 button, the function 4 button. When I press F4 button, you can see the $2 sign, the first dollar sign which is before the letter. This means that the column is locked, and the dollar sign before the number, that means the row is also locked. So this cell reference is locked in the place. Now I press enter, and if I copy down the formula, I can see that in every cell I didn't lock it, so it is adapted to the relative cell, but this one, as I locked it, it is always G2. It is always G2 in every cell, but the another cell reference is become adapted to the relative cells. So this is how we can use the absolute and relative reference, and it is very useful and very widely used in Excel. So now I can calculate the total. But total, I need to go to the sum, press enter. So it is done here. I can go to the second worksheet. Here we have to calculate the share of annual sales in percentage. So first we need to calculate the annual sales. Annual sales is the sum of the sales of all months. So we can use the sum function. and it is automatically selected. I can press enter, and this is the total sale of whole year. Now I can, and now I need to uh, calculate the annual calculate the share of the annual sales in each month. So I need to divide it the sales in each month with the total sale. So in this case I cannot make it absolute, because I want this reference to be adapted in the relative to the every cell, but this need to be locked down here, because in every cell this total cell is same. So I locked it with the F4 button, and I press enter, and I copy down it. I can get the annual share of every year, and if I copy down it, I can see the total share. Sorry, if I formatted it as percentage, I can see that the total sale is 100%. So this is the same like the worksheet 1. Into it, just like the worksheet 1 is equal to, that means the 19% of the net price. So I selected the net price, multiplication with the VAT, and I must log the cell. So I copy down the formula, and gross means the net plus VAT, so is equal to net plus VAT. And I can calculate the total with the sum function as usual. Here the price with VAT, that means the gross price is given, and we have to calculate VAT, and the price without VAT, that means net amount. So in the previous calculation we can see that we must calculate the VAT from the net price, not the total price of the we cannot calculate VAT from the gross price. So for calculating VAT, we must calculate the price without VAT first. That means we need to calculate net price first. For doing this, we can use a formula here. So we know the price with VAT is price without VAT plus price without VAT into VAT percentage. And from here we can take price without VAT is common, and that means price without VAT into 1 plus VAT percentage, and from this we can get the price without VAT is equal to price with VAT divided by 1 plus VAT percentage. So we will use this formula for calculating price without VAT. Is equal to price with VAT, this is price with VAT, divided by 1 plus VAT percentage. This is VAT percentage, and this is same for all the same sales. That's why we need to lock it. Parenthesis close, press enter, and this is the price without VAT. You can copy down this formula and we can get price without VAT for every cell. Now we can easily calculate the VAT from price without VAT, or we can simply deduct price with VAT and price without VAT. So is equal to price with VAT minus price without VAT. So you can get the VAT. Now you can calculate the total with the sum function. So it is like a puzzle. Here we need to create a multiplication table with mixed reference. Here we need in every cell it will be the multiplication of this one and this one. Like if I consider about this cell, it will be multiplication of 4 and 2. This cell, it will be multiplication of 2 and 5. So how can we do that? In this case, we can see that the row should be in this one, the row should be fixed, but we need to use the different columns. So for this we have to fix the row, but we need to make the column relative, or we cannot fix the column, and it is opposite for the another one. In this case we need to log the column, but we cannot log the row, because we have to use every number here, and this number is going according to the row. So row should be movable, row should be free, and we should log the column. So how can we do that? So here is equal to, I select this one, and in this and here in this direction we only need to log the row, not the column. So row is indicated by number. So if I press F4 2 times, you can see the dollar sign is before letter and before number. That means the row and column both are locked. If I press F4 button again, the dollar sign is only before the number. That means the row is now locked, but the column is now free. So it is done for this column, this row. Now press enter. So for B4 I only need to log the column, not the row, and the column is indicated by the letter. So the dollar sign should only before the letter. How can I do that? I can press F4 one time. Now the dollar sign is both the letter and number. That's mean row and column both is locked. I press F4 button again. Now it is before number. That means row is locked, but we need to log the column. So I press F4 button again. Now the dollar sign is only before the letter. That means column is locked. So I press enter, and this is done for 1 and 1 1. So I copy down this formula and copy to the right. So you can see this formula is adapted in all the cells. We can do this thing with giving a names to the range. So how can we do that? We first select the range, then I select here, and I can give a name of this row. Right, I can give the name of this row is Wittenberg. But for giving a name, you must remember that you cannot give a space or a special character here. You cannot use a function as a name of the range. The name should be unique. So I selected the range and give a name Wittenberg. Again, I select the column. I click here and give a name trees drop. You can give any name according to your choice. So when we give a name to a range and we use the name in the formula, this is always absolute. So equal to, if I start typing Wittenberg, it is already here. And now we don't need to lock it separately, because when we use a name of a range in a formula, it is always absolute, it is always locked up. Multiply by trees drop here. So when I start typing trees drop, it will already appear in the suggestion, and we just need to select it with tab and we press enter. So I can already find the results. So this is done. I can go to the next workbook. So here the work is expand the figures in row 7 and column 8 accordingly. Row 7 so first we need to expand the row and column. We select both of these, take our mouse cursor to the little square box, click on the right button of the mouse and copy down it. And create the formula once in the first cell, then copy it to the whole table. Now we just need to create the formula just like the previous workbook. So equal to this one. So we must remember we need to log the column, that means we need to log B. So I press the F4 button 3 times and now B is logged. Multiplication by percentage. So here I must need to log the number, that means 7. I press F4 button 2 times, now 7 is logged. Press enter. So I take my mouse cursor on the a small box and copy it by left clicking on the mouse and double click on the small box. Now the formula is copied for all the cell. So I go to the third task. Next task. Here the task is a loan of 60,000 euro cost 5% interest per year. At the end of each year, 10,000 is paid in interest and payment together. So interest and repayment is 10,000 euro. Calculate the remaining debt at the end of each year. Calculate the interest paid per year. Calculate the annual repayment installments. Okay. So the debt of the first year is obviously the taken loan. It will be 60,000. So is equal to loan, I can log this cell with F4. So the loan at the first year is 60,000. We get the interest and repayment is 10,000 euro per year. So 10,000 euro is paid in interest and repayment together, which should be pressed here. It's equal to interest and payment. I can also lock it here. So interest is 5%. Is equal to interest is 5% of the debt. So debt, I select it, and it is multiplication by the interest percentage per year. So interest rate is always 5%, so I must lock it. And repayment, when we deduct interest from the interest and repayment, we will get the repayment. So that must be equal interest and repayment. It is mentioned that it is always 10,000 euro, so we can fix the cell here, and it is minus interest. Now we repay 7,000 from the 60,000 euro. So what will be the debt of the second year? Obviously, if we deduct 7,000, or if we deduct repayment from the remaining debt, we will get the debt for the next year. So it is equal to remaining debt minus repayment. So we get the debt for the second year, and we can copy down the formula. We can also copy down the interest. We can also copy down the repayment. So we can see that at the 8th year, the all the debt is paid. That's why it is showing negative from the next years. So we can delete it from here. So this task is done. Go to the task 2. Okay, for this task, first we need to expand the quantity up to 200. For doing this, we can select this and we can copy it until 200. Sorry, there already there is a formula is given here. I didn't notice it. So we can just copy the formula, and it will work. It should work. Yeah, the formula is also given here. If I copy down it, yes, the second task was accordingly discount should also be expand, and for we can expand it by selecting it, and we can copy it. We should expand it up to 500. Okay, now we have to calculate the unit price. For calculating it, we first need to calculate the total price. So this is the quantity and this is the unit price. If we multiply with it, we can find the total price. This is the discount. So first we need so after calculating the total price, we need to deduct 5% discount, and after deducting we have to add 19% VAT. So in this case, first we need to deduct 5% and then we need to add 19%. So how can we do that? For doing this, we will use a formula. Here is a formula for adding a percentage. We will use this formula, actual value into 1 plus percentage, and for deducting the percentage we can use the actual value into 1 minus percentage. So we will use this both formula together because we need to both deduct and add the percentage. So our actual value is 100. First we take this value, but you can notice this, when I go down I will have to take this value, but when I go to this side, this cell reference should not be moved to this direction. This should only move to this direction. So we need to lock the column, but we need to keep the row free. So for doing this, we can press F4 one time, two time, and now we can see that row is locked, but we need to lock the column. Again F4. Now the dollar sign is before the letter, so now the column is locked, but the row is free. Now multiply by, first we will deduct the discount. 1 minus discount is 5%, and you can see the discount should go to this direction. So the column should be free, but the row should be locked. So for doing this, we can use F4 first time, second time. So the dollar sign is in front of the number, so the row is now locked and the column is free. So I close the parenthesis, and now we need to add the percentage. So for that, the percentage, the actual value is already here, so I don't need to give it again. I can just simply press multiplication, and the VAT is 19%. So for the formula is 1 plus percentage. So 1 plus, so VAT is 19%, and VAT should always be in this place. It cannot go into the row direction or in the column direction, so it should be fixed here. So dollar sign should be both before the number and the letter. So I press F4 and it is fixed here. Close the parenthesis and I press enter. So it is calculated for unit price 100 and the quantity 10. If I copy the formula according to the row, copy down to this and double click on here, so now I can see the all cell is filled with the actual price. So now we need to both use absolute and relative references. Here gross wage is given, and the percentage of different tax is also given. We need to deduct this percentage from this gross wage. So for doing this, we can do one thing. So we can see that the wage, tax, health insurance, pension, these are here in according to the, these are here in different column, but these are here in different row. So it will be difficult for us for calculating from here. For this we can bring this here. So I press Ctrl Shift plus and I create a new cell and I copied the percentage from here to here. Ctrl C. I take my mouse cursor here and I should need to paste a special for paste, because here it is in a column, but I need to take it in a row. For doing this we need to use the paste special function of Excel. So if I click the little arrow of the paste, I will get this transpose option. This transpose option change column into row and row into column. So for calculating the taxes, we can use our previous knowledge of tax calculation and absolute and relative formula. So is equal to this one, and this should be locked according to the column, but the row should be fixed. Sorry, the row should be free but the column should be fixed into the percentage. In this case the row should be fixed but the column should be free. F4. Enter. I will calculate the waste task and I copy the formula to other cells, and the other insurance is also, other tax is also calculated. Double click on it, so all this calculated. For the child benefit, the actual amount is already given, so I need to calculate it in different way. Is equal to this one. This is always the same, so I must need to fixed both row and column, and then the number of child is 2, so I must need to select, sorry, locked enter 2, the number of child, as this is child benefit per child and the number of child is 2, and this will also be fixed because the number of child is always the same. Press enter. Yes, it is done. If I double click on the small box, yeah, it is always the same. So net waste, if for calculating the net waste, we have to deduct all this cost from the gross waste. So how can we do that? Is equal to gross waste minus sum minus sum of all these taxes. So net waste is calculated. So the second task is the row in the table with the maximum wage value should always be formatted light green on the table. So we can do this with conditional formatting. We select this range, I go to the conditional formatting, So here the question was asked, the table with the maximum wage value should all the row in the table with the maximum wage value should always be formatted light green in the table. So if this is the maximum value, maximum wage, the whole row should be formatted as light green. So how can we do that? We can do it from conditional formatting. So I go to the conditional formatting. I need to create a new rule. So I go to manage rules and I select new rules and I select use a formula to determine which cells to format. So I want this column format values where this formula is to do. So I need this column, but in these columns the column should be fixed but the row should not be fixed, because I want all this value but only in this column. So the dollar sign should only before the letter, not before the number. So I press F4 2 times. Now the dollar sign is only before the letter, not before the number. So now this cell is selected. Now I press OK. Now where this one will applies to, so it should be applied to the whole row. So I have to select the whole table. I selected the whole table, press enter, and I am not still finished yet because I need to format it as light green. So I select the rule, edit rule, and here I can format it. So I format the light green. I can also change the font color. Font color to deep green. Okay, I press enter, apply. Sorry, I didn't do it right. So here it was said that the maximum wage, so I need to input my formula for maximum is equal to max, and the cell range should be from here. So now from this column, so now this formula will find maximum value from this column and it will apply this format to the whole row. So I press OK, apply. Okay, so now I can see the maximum wage row is formatted as green color, light green color. Okay, now this is done. I go to the task 4. So task 4 is just like the just like this one. I am quickly doing it. Is equal to this one. So here the row should be fixed into this one. Here the column should be fixed. Press enter. It is done. And here we need to do this thing with the range name. So I selected it and I give a name, packing, and from this I can give a name, weight, and I multiply it is equal to packing into weight. and this is done. So this is all for this task. Thank you.